And hold on. Hello, now you can hear me. So, hope everybody is well. Please let me know in the comments if you can hear me. Ruby, 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 Ruby. Yeah, I think we're good though. Let me know. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Cheers. Code long and profit. Let's see what we got here in the comments.
I don't understand.
No audio. Let me know if there's audio now. I will begin when the audio is confirmed. Are we doing here? We can hear you. We can hear you. Okay. Sound is muted. Yeah. Can you hear me now? I think you can. Good. There's always a little bit of a delay. So I'll jump into the subject at hand, and then we will do our Q&A as usual. Let's just jump into it. All right. So here we go. Steph, hi everybody from Italy. Very good. All right. Cool. All right, everybody can hear. That's good. Thank you. I agree. Alessandro Valerio, I don't believe ChatGPT will replace software developers as well. But let me just jump into the subject and then we'll get into it. So somebody sent me an email, and so I thought it would be a good subject for the conversation tonight. So the future of Python in light of the AI revolution. So this is what somebody sent me from my mentoring community. He said, "Hi, Steph. It looks like Python is becoming even more popular with ChatGPT, and it may become an essential programming language to learn for AI and chatbot integrations. What do you think the future of Python?" When we start that again, what do you think of the future of Python in the light of the AI revolution? So this is a good question. Short answer is that AI and Python are linked very tightly. I'm about to refer to an article showing about how Python is by far and away the most popular language when it comes to AI development. So if you want to get into AI, Python is probably the language you want to be into. Not because necessarily Python is any better in of itself in terms of technical implementation. It's just that Python has such already has a big set of libraries and modules related to AI. It's all there for you, ready to unpack. And if you're going to be working for a business, they're probably going to be implementing Python. They may implement R, Python, Java, C++. So yeah, definitely as chatbots like ChatGPT and other things become more and more woven into software systems, as Microsoft is about to do. We're going to talk about that soon as well. Being able to interface with AI and machine learning models, I guess, if you will, is going to make sense going forward. Doesn't mean you have to drop everything. Doesn't mean that you have to do AI and ML programming. Again, the main point of this discussion was to drive home the fact that Python, already a very, very popular language, it's ascending even further because of things like ChatGPT. So let me pull up an article here that's relevant to our conversation. So this article I found on the webs, and the article, of course, it's on a site where this company I've never heard of before, but they basically offer Python and Django services. So they got a book. But anyway, 8 reasons why Python is good for AI and ML. If you've been watching my stuff for a while, you've heard these reasons before. So this is nothing new. Artificial intelligence and AI machine learning are the new black are the new black of the IT industry. While discussions over safety of its developments keeps escalating, developers expand abilities and capacity of artificial intellect. So let me just go on here. How AI and ML form technologies of the future. Today, with the expansion of volumes and complexity of data, AI and ML are used for its processing and analysis. That's what ChatGPT is all about, by the way. To be fair, the human brain can analyze large amounts of data, but this ability is limited by the volume of data it can absorb at any given moment. Artificial intelligence is free from these limitations. More accurate predictions and insights delivered by AI improves business efficiency, lowers production costs, and increases productivity. No wonder that many industries apply AI and ML to improve performance and propel the product development. So let me go down here. I'm not going to read the whole point, the whole article. I'll give you a reference below so you can read it on your own if you're interested. Python and AI, Python for AI and ML, the best programming language. As AI and ML are being applied across various channels and industries, big corporations invest in these fields, and the demand for experts in ML and AI grows accordingly. Jean-François Puget from IBM's Machine Learning Development Department expressed this opinion that Python is the most popular language for AI and ML, and based it on the trend search results of Indeed.com. So you look at this chart here, you can see, or you may not be able to see. Let's see if I can zoom in here for you guys. Oh, there we go. So you can see that by far and away, Python is way up here in blue. Second place is Java. Then it's R. Then it is C++. And then you got like JavaScript and Scala and Julia mixed in. So you can see Python is at the peak. It's at the top. And it's pulling away of the other languages quite quickly. So there's quite a demand there with Python. So if we go down, so why the number one reason that Python is the choice for AI development is because of the library and ecosystem, as I talk about. That is, generally speaking, Python's big strength, its library and its ecosystem. So like in so many other specializations, Python has a ton of libraries that just make jumping into AI much easier. So you got, so they list the pandas and TensorFlow, and I've never heard of Scikit image, Cafe, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that is the number one reason to get into Python development for AI. The other reason, I would argue, is that since so many companies are jumping into AI, chances are they're going to be using Python. So it's a good safe bet. That said, as I've talked about many times before, the language is really not the hurdle to learning how to be a developer in any particular specialization. It's understanding the context and the framework of what you're getting into. So with AI, you have to understand AI and ML programming, what it's all about. Then within a particular language like Python, you would have to learn about the various modules that they have available for you, when to leverage them, and so on. In this article, they continue to talk about the low barrier to entry with Python. The code is relatively easy to work with. We know about this. There's something interesting about Python. It's its flexibility in which you can write Python. So it says here that Python for machine learning is a great choice as this language is very flexible. It offers an option to choose either to use OOP or scripting. There's also no need to recompile source code. Developers can implement any changes and quickly see results. Programmers can combine Python and other language to reach their goals. What's interesting, according to this article, so apparently Python supports these 4 programming paradigms. I wasn't aware that it did imperative style. So the most popular type of programming is object-oriented. This is what you can see most of the time. Procedural is kind of old school. You still see that amongst beginners. It's used for procedural type of programming is used when you're not so much building systems, but maybe writing quick little scripts. Maybe it's something simple to do. Functional programming, again, it's also called declarative because it declares what operation should be performed. It doesn't consider the program state. Compared to imperative style, it declares statements in the form of mathematical equations. Anyway, the point is that Python is flexible enough so that you can tackle whatever programmatic task using any of these methodologies, if you will. Another big advantage of Python is platform independent. Of course, JavaScript is as well. Python is, Java is as well. Readability, that's another one. The fifth reason, it's very readable, easy to read. That's true. Good visualization options. Yeah, again, it just comes down to library, great community support, and of course, as they cited previously, growing popularity. We hit this. We can see Python is really growing quickly in terms of its use in AI development. It's all well good. All right, that's it. So, one last thing here. So if you're interested on coming up pretty soon, Microsoft is going to have a presentation. I'm not associated with Microsoft anyway, on March 16th. So what happened? What has happened is Microsoft owns a big chunk of ChatGPT, and they have integrated ChatGPT within their Office applications. And you can be sure that Microsoft is going to be implementing ChatGPT and AI and different all over the place within their offerings. So you could probably see ChatGPT integrated into VS Code very soon. That would be my guess, as well as Visual Studio, besides Office. So yeah, that might be something to check out, you know. All right, so there you go. That's pretty much covers that section. All right, we're 20 minutes in. So let's we'll get to the questions soon. Appreciate the thumbs. If you can give me some thumbs, if you don't mind, that would be cool. So let's get a sip of water. So my album of the day. So this is a good album to chill out by. It's a good coding album. It's kind of a anyway. Well, here it is. Caravanserai, man. Santana. This is the Japanese pressing. Thus, you have this Japanese sash obi here. But this is a great moody melodic album called Caravanserai. The old, you may want to check that out. Santana, great band. So yeah, check that out. If you want to get into some trippy music, you want to chill out, I recommend Caravanserai. All right, you can get it on YouTube, you can get it on Spotify, whatever. It's all there. I'm going to put this away. Hold on. Okay, we'll get this later. All right, so next, if you're already a developer, intermediate level developer, let's say you've gone through my mentoring program or done my my web dev package, you want to check out this refactoring book. This is the Java version. There is a JavaScript version as well. This will teach you how to clean up your code, how to become a better coder overall. I've had this particular copy since, I guess, 2001. I had the original printing from 1999. This is one of the very few books I kept from the old days, because even though it's a very old book, it's over 20 years old, everything that they teach in here is 100% relevant for today. So I highly recommend this book. Again, you can get the Java one or the JavaScript one, but the techniques that you learn in here apply to all languages, really. So something highly recommended. Links below, by the way. You can get the links below. And if you're a total beginner, you may want to check out my book on web design. This is very much a beginner's book. You can get them secondhand for pretty cheap now. Yeah, so lots of pictures and diagrams. It really gets into the nuts and bolts of web design and development, the very foundations of it. So it's a good place to start learning. It's not a replacement for my program. My program covers all the material in here and much, much more, but some people like to read, so this is something you might want to check out as well. All right. We've gone through the homework, so let's see what we got for questions. All right. Stefan, how do we know that you are you and not a deep fake powered by ChatGPT? Because this technique here is so complex that AI cannot accomplish it yet. All right, that's the answer. So okay, sounds muted. We can hear you. Can yes, Ruby. We can hear you. Okay. Hopefully you heard me for the last 10 minutes. Oh, that would be a disaster. Hello. If you don't mind, in the chats, say hello from wherever you happen to be. So hello from Ontario. Welcome to the stream, Helmet Chile. Why is this not working? All right. ChatGPT will not replace software engineers. No, it won't. No chance, in fact. I've talked about this in a few other videos. The only people worried about ChatGPT replacing software developers are people who I'm pretty sure are not software developers. Writing code and being able to write snippets of code is a long way from being a developer. It's not even close. Honestly, ChatGPT is here to make your tasks easier, 100%. Repetitive task and even a task where you know a little about, it just helps you to bring that idea to reality. Yeah, 100%. You gotta it's a power tool. It's just there to speed up the process. I wouldn't be too concerned about it. ChatGPT works pretty well with regex. Just saying. That'd be cool. Really, that's very interesting. Regex is short for regular expressions and is a meta language, I suppose. All the major programming languages included C#, Java, JavaScript, PHP, Python, and allows you to process text in ways that built-in text processing functions can't even come close to. So regex, though, is kind of weird. It's very weird. And to read complex regex is real pain. So if ChatGPT can make that easy for you so you can write out your regex, that would be very cool, in fact. It has a simple algorithmic pseudocode style, which makes it good for these kinds of applications, business logic, in my opinion. Great live chats as an alternative to Python. What are you hearing about Julia? We just showed in one of the charts, Julia is not doing fantastic in terms of the rankings, right? We go here. Where's Julia? Yeah, it's not even the top. Yeah, it's not even. I don't even see it. Even PHP is doing better than Julia in terms of projections of future traffic for major programming languages. Future traffic is predicated on STL model, along with 80% prediction intervals. Okay, so that's general programming, I guess. As you can see, dirty old PHP, it's still hanging in there with the top 5 or 6, right? But yeah, as it was actually further up, I believe, where we saw some Julia numbers. Hold on. There we go. Yeah, Julia it's down here, right? Yeah, Julia's way down here, so not doing so good in terms of popularity. Again, like everything else that I talk about when you're looking at technologies and languages, don't just look at surveys and studies. Look at the job opportunities yourself. If there's job opportunities in Julia, then take it. But it doesn't look as that it might be. It doesn't look like it would be. So we'll see. Yeah. Let's go on. What about running on a server for production? That gets a bit squirrely with the Django. Well, Django is, if you don't know, Django is a framework for Python for web development. Yeah, I haven't used Django personally. I have a friend who used it. who uses it. Well, friend, somebody else who was in the mentoring program. It's very powerful, but I find other frameworks are more streamlined, like PHP Laravel. Thanks, Jordan. Appreciate it. Thanks for joining. How are we doing here? All right. Small group today. Hey, Uncle Steph. First, I want to say thank you. Your videos are one of the video I watched back in 2019 when I was starting out, and still follow your channel even as a freelance dev now. Emmanuel. Well, thanks for letting me know, and congratulations on becoming a freelance dev. Very cool. Very cool. I personally hate being employed. How long can it take a beginner to learn enough to go freelance, in your opinion, working at it every day? It really depends on your aptitudes and so much, but working part-time, like in my mentoring program, working part-time, I'd say I've had people do it in like 3-4 months. I've had people take over a year to get there. I'd say on average, we'll say 6 months working part-time. Part-time means, an hour to 2 hours a day, maybe a couple hours on the weekend, that kind of thing. So it doesn't, not too long. Do you believe in the dead internet theory? I've never heard of the dead internet theory. I wonder what that's all about. Let's see if I can look that up. Hold on. Dead internet theory. Give me a second. Dead internet theory. All right. That's interesting. Okay, we'll go back here. Let's see what it says. Let's see what it says here. So the dead internet theory is a conspiracy theory that asserts that the internet now consists almost entirely of bot activity and automatically generated content marginalizing human activity. The date given for his death is generally around 2016 and 17. No. I think there is a lot more bot activity than it was in the past, that's for sure. No, I guess it depends on where you might see this, I think that there's still vast numbers of people on the internet, so I'm not too convinced of that, in all honesty. How can we talk to kids about AI? Christina. That's an interesting question. Well, right now AI is relatively primitive. It's not really thinking in the sense like you see in the movies. AI now is, they're just making predictions, and I'm not an expert in AI by any means, not even close. But from what I understand, AI is just making predictions based on probability. So you see a few sentences, a few words, and it can make predictions about what it needs to see next. These big language models makes this possible. So right now the AI is not really thinking. It's not like there's an intention. It's just making predictions based on probability. Whereas humans, or intelligent, true intelligence, I would argue, we may have some sort of intention behind what we do. So how would I explain that to kids, Christina? I would say that AI right now is, it's hard to explain probability to kids, I guess. It's just basically, it's accumulating, AI is now accumulating a bunch of information on the web. And based on its ability to scan the web in a broad way, it's able to figure out what the more likely possibility of something being. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So it comes down to minutia, I believe, where if it sees a certain sequence of words together, it can guess what the next set of words might be, So, yeah, I would say to the kids, it's more clever self-learning or self-training software. It's more clever self-training software, but it's not actually thinking, not yet anyway. But it's self-training, and it's that's a big part of it. It's self-training. Whereas traditional programming, what we still do 99% of the time, the programmer has to decide, make the decisions, and then the software processes those decisions over and over again. So when you're writing code, you're making decisions in the code, and you're setting parameters that are very strict. And then when the software is run, as information flows through that software that you've written, the decisions are kind of predetermined by the coder. Whereas with AI systems that we see today, you're creating parameters and so forth, but the AI is able to make its own decisions and can improve itself along the way. That's the easiest way I can explain it. That's a good question. I haven't put too much thought into it, so I hope that helps. I haven't put too much thought into trying to explain it to kids. I did your full stack course and have e-commerce website that I want to build for a friend. How would you recommend going with a framework or vanilla, or should I start with something easier? Well, did you finish? Okay, so did you finish? You built a responsive website. You did the CRUD operations. I think you could do it. You understand the basics of databases. So whether you go for framework or vanilla depends on the complexity of the site. So if you only has 20 products to sell, and there's not too much complexity in there, you may not have to go with a fully database-driven solution. So it really depends on the complexity and the requirements of that particular project. I hope that helps. There you go, Steph. I'm looking into starting AI dev. Novice could take me at least a year to catch on, but please, could you help me with a comparison of which is better, even in a monetary way, C++ or Python? Good question, Emmanuel. You would have to just look at jobs, AI jobs, and see what they're looking for and what they're paying. I think it's going to be less about the language and more about your skills as a developer overall. So that's my suggestion to you, to look into that. Yeah, again, I would lean towards Python. I think in the C, depends on what, there's different levels as far as I understand with the AI world. If you get into C++, you're developing the core engines, which is probably a lot more specialized in terms of the job opportunities. But when you're in the implementation phase of AI development, then you would be using higher, more nimble languages like the Python, like the Java. So my inclination would be to lean towards Python over C++. Do you think specializing in WordPress opens the most opportunity compared to other specialties like Shopify, Laravel, Webflow? Yes. There's so many WordPress sites out there because so many businesses run on them. In terms of freelance, Peter, that's probably your best choice. There's no question about that. For sure. Yeah. Can I go freelance as a PHP backend dev directly without going deep in front end without a JavaScript framework like React? Yes. You don't need to learn a front end framework like React or Vue if you want to get into freelancing. Most freelancing won't use those front-end frameworks anyway, so you're good. No, Ruby, that's just a running joke. The whole Ruby joke, excuse me, a little tired tonight. The whole Ruby joke is not really making fun of Ruby. It's making fun of people who really get caught up in the languages and the language wars. You see, these days, people get really angry about all kinds of different things, whether it be politics or, whatever, all the woke culture and this and that. And I don't get too excited about all that stuff because I've seen over the decades, people get super angry about all kinds of weird things. Like people will get angry about what programming language you use or don't use. People get I remember people used to get very angry about whether you're using a Mac or a Windows machine, like screaming and yelling and screaming. Get super angry on, we know, sports teams. I'm for this team, you're for that team. Everybody goes crazy. I understand why. It's a basic tribalism. It's built into our DNA. If you want to learn all about that, check below. I have a course called Lizard Wizard that teaches you all that and gives you a bunch of techniques to try to get over that. So yeah, the whole Ruby thing is just me making fun of that phenomena. I've actually implemented a Ruby apps, client-side app, command line internally here. It's good. I wouldn't use it for web development because I think it doesn't have the, well, I guess for most sites it would be fine. But yeah, Ruby isn't so bad. Los Angeles from Los Angeles. Jordan D from Los Angeles. From Minnesota. Hello, hello. From Nigeria. Hey. From Florida. How are you? Groupith. Hey, Steph, do you think people can get stuck in the learning to code phase? 100%. 100%. It's normal to get stuck. Don't worry about it. If you hit a day where you're like, I just don't want to do this, just do your 20 minutes, write some code, break it. The key is to write a little bit of code every day. You don't want to get caught in tutorials, and you want to write code and you want to think about the code that you're writing. And even if it's very simple, trust me, that's how you're going to learn. So if you're getting stuck, that's normal. Don't get too excited about it, meaning don't let it worry you. Just keep working towards your goal, man. Hey, Jafar, how are you? Emmanuel, good, good, good. Humphrey, hello. I had some great arguments with ChatGPT and data for political data. If you get a good stream, then keep pumping it. Trying a new query of the same notepad does not work the same. Yeah, okay. He's talking about using ChatGPT. I've used it just a little bit. I played around with it for a couple hours, so I'm not huge on it. All right, I got a super chat. Let's see if I can answer that. I'm looking into coding, heavily looking into your mentorship course. Is there anything I need to do to prepare, aka basic info I need to know? No, Andre, everything is there. That's the whole point of mentoring program. You have everything that you need. It will be the last program you need to purchase. Once people complete my program, you will be in a position where you understand enough about coding that any specialization you decide to get into, you will be able to learn on your own, just through some YouTube videos or go to the docs, whatever it is you need to do. Although the course covers a lot. There's a huge amount of training in there, hundreds of lessons, 1,000 quiz questions. You got the live group chats, bi-weekly group coaching sessions, and much more. No, just join whenever you're ready to go, man. We have people of all levels in the program. We have about 60% of the people are total beginners, and the other 40% are professional developers of some level. So that's very interesting. So yeah, check it out. Let me just do a little shameless self-promotion here while we're here. So yeah, boom. That's it. The Uncle Steph Bootcamp. Yeah, it's my bootcamp. It's very different from anything else out there. And I invite you to take a look. Very, very popular. People really like it. And one of the good things about it is that you're not under any artificial deadlines. You can take as long as you need to get through the material. Let me scroll back up. AI is acting as a small piece of a brain. It is not a person. I agree with that, Sean. I would agree with that. I just graduated and having a hard time finding a job. Should I consider niche markets within software engineering? Yeah, but you want to start checking out. Make sure your resume is up to stuff. You may have a resume you need to work on. Spruce up your LinkedIn profile. Make sure LinkedIn is looking good. Start reaching out to people. Start networking. these are all important things that you can do to improve your chances of getting a job. And yeah, niching is also something you could do. The speech it wrote, that's ChatGPT, as 50% Churchill and as 50% Margaret Thatcher was persuasive. Pretty cool. So we have conversation. By the way, people will get into conversations during these live shows. I would recommend joining my Discord channel if you want to continue conversations afterwards. Let me just point it out here. Where is it? There we go. So I got the Discord. We got about 3,000 people on here, 3,500 members. It's a pretty active community, well moderated. So I invite you to check it out. Yeah, link is below. These are all people who just joined in the last since March 12th. So it's pretty good. Yeah, so check out that Discord. Okay. My software examples, I gave it decent Rust and Python. It gave me decent Rust. Mostly incomplete answers, just re-ask and it gives a fuller answer. It's like a buffer has not fully filled, so errors. Yeah, so Humphrey here is talking about using ChatGPT. I experienced the same thing with terms of coding. It's a great tool to use, right? It's not something to ignore. It's a great tool to use, and it will just help you speed up the whole development process. A big part about being a professional developer is learning new things on the fly. It's a constant. And you may be looking up stuff, and how do we do this, And we, in the old days, back when I started coding in the 90s, used to have to look up books. And then Google came around, and that was a big game changer. We can Google things, especially when Stack Overflow took over. Prior to Google and Stack Overflow, you would go to forums. And now with ChatGPT, it's the next level up where you can use ChatGPT to get code snippets. How do you do this in Python? Here you go, try this. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, okay, cool. You grab that, boom, put it into your own code, and away you go. But you still have to be a coder to be able to use these things effectively. I'm 7 minutes behind live. How much could a freelance Python dev reasonably expect to earn? A freelance developer will earn what they're worth regardless of the language. It's not about the language, it's about your skills as a developer. A better question is, how much does a beginner developer freelancer earn versus an intermediate level versus an advanced developer? Have you had experience subcontracting UI work to artists, designers? Yes, I do it today. Do you have any tips on where to find talented UI devs? That's a good question. Good devs are like gems, right? You got to dig around a lot to find them. How did I find I forget how I find my people. I just come across them. I have a bit of an audience. I'm able to come across people. And I look up people on LinkedIn, look up people on Twitter, check out their websites. Fortunately, UI, UX, you can see what their work is like. I started hunting around that way. No worries, man. I'm glad I could help. Dead internet theory is fascinating. It's more metaphorical, true than literally. The internet circa 205 did seem more alive. It's now become too centralized and corporatized. It depends where, it depends where you are. Another super chat. Let's see what's going on here. Best way to transition from data science to SWE, software engineering. I would get into the web stack. The web stack has the most job opportunities. So jump into the web stack, and it should be pretty easy for you. The difficult part for people who are getting into web stack is that they have to deal with the client-server model. They have to understand that web development is multi-layered compared to I don't know about data science. I guess data science isn't. But yeah, get into the web stack. That's where you're going to be finding a lot of opportunities. Your last job was a bouncer. Yes, way back. Is that because you don't like having a boss? I'm the same. Well, I did have a boss as a bouncer. but I was fairly independent, right? You just, show up and you do your work. I did it because I was 18, 19 years old when I was bouncing. And I did it because I was a trained martial artist. Before I went into what I am today, I was thinking about becoming a professional fighter. So I was training quite a bit as a fighter. And I didn't mind fighting. Although your job as a bouncer is not to fight, it's to stop fights. And it was at a very prestigious clubs I worked at. So it was very good for my social life, if you will, working at nightclubs, especially when you're 18. It's a lot of fun, I wouldn't do it today, though. Do you speak Klingon? You mean Klingon? Do I speak Klingon? I used to speak a little bit of Klingon, but that's a long time ago. The graphics generation was mostly junk, too basic cartoon. There you go. Oh yeah, I just saw some of my soccer buddies go nuts over Man United. There you go. I'd say, yeah, he's Helmet is making reference to the fact that I said earlier, if I don't get too excited about everybody getting angry about everything, it's like everybody gets angry about the craziest things. I've seen people get into fights over like cameras. Which camera is better, a Canon or Sony or Nikon? People will get angry about everything. It's a waste of time. Getting angry over what somebody else does or says is only you giving these other people power. They're controlling you. They are controlling you with their words. Because when you get angry, you're just releasing all these toxic chemicals into your system. You're less cognitively capable. You're being distracted from things that are important. Getting angry most of the time is you giving your power away. So I know it's easier said than done, but it's a lot better for you to not get angry at things. Why give out your power to other people? Why give control over yourself to other people? Let's see. All right, thanks, man. Pablo. His Python course is excellent. I did it myself and learned quite a bit. Thumbs up. I appreciate that. Thanks. How are we doing for time? Oh, 50 minutes. Time flies. Hello, sir. I'm from Nigeria. Good evening. It is really necessary to develop web application OOP concepts as a PHP developer. It's not absolutely necessary. Like if you're doing simple apps, you could do it with function-based. Just make sure your code is very clean and very simple. But OOP becomes more important as you have a more complex system and as you have more and more people involved with it. But you're going to see a little bit of OOP integrated in your web development. Like if you're, for example, using JavaScript to manage the DOM, the document object model in JavaScript, it's OOP. You're going to be navigating using OOP. That said, you should check out my site, an old site, something I put out 200 years ago. And there is a tutorial that's free out there, killerphp.com. Okay, if you go to my object-oriented PHP, here we go. So I'm just loading up something for you guys. So you go to killerphp.com, go to object-oriented PHP. I have a free tutorial. It's I think it's 21-step lesson. This is young Steph when I was a young whippersnapper. This is an old tutorial. And the only thing that's changed is the way to declare variables. So everything else is 100% cool with this. Yeah, so I wrote this a while back, and people really like it. 22 steps to learning OOP. It's very, very simple. And if you're having trouble with OOP in any language, I invite you to take a look at this. So it gives you a step-by-step how to create objects and classes, why you do it, etc., etc. So it's pretty simple, straightforward. The only problem is I use var, and I don't think they use var anymore. This is deprecated, but that doesn't really matter. It still works. And that's about it. So I invite you to take a look at this if you're having a hard time wrapping your head around object-oriented programming in general. It's free. All right. I got stuck learning a good course, but the teacher's voice drives me nuts. What are you going to do? Okay, we got that one. Is it possible to get a job with HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap? Yeah, you could. There's definitely a possibility. Make sure you do good work. Stefan Mishik, your course programs make us into an autodidactic. Yes, 100%. 100%. That's the comment of the night, SJ. An autodidact is a self-learner. Apparently, like 1 or 2% of the population are self-learners. I'm a self-learner. So what I do, one of the things I do in my program is I teach you what you need to know to become a self-learner. So that is powerful because once you're a self-learner, the world is your oyster, you know? Something I first recognized when I was doing martial arts. When you first start doing anything, so I was doing martial arts, so I'm doing whatever it was, a karate or something. And when you're first learning how to punch and kick or to throw, etc., you need a teacher to correct you. No, you're throwing you're sticking your elbow out, or you're not holding your hand properly, all this kind of stuff. You're not balanced. When you punch, make sure you keep your hand up. All these things that teachers will correct you on. But when you reach a certain level of understanding and capability, then you can be self-corrective. You're able to see your own flaws and start refining your own movement because you can recognize where you're making mistakes. That's where you want to get to in software development or anything really. You want to get to the point where you're self-corrective, where you're able to identify your own weaknesses. You don't need the teacher to do that. And that's what I try to do in everything that I do, of everything that I teach. I want to get you to the point to where you are an autodidact and you're able to self-correct and produce. And this basically accelerates the learning process for you. That's the key. How can I network on LinkedIn, message recruiters? Yeah, you could message recruiters. You could reach out to people who are in a similar field to you. Write articles on LinkedIn. Find some articles, how to network on LinkedIn, and see what they say. It is. Your company blacklisted ChatGPT. I wonder why. Poppy Seed, let me know. ChatGPT told me to join the mentorship program. That's it. I paid ChatGPT some cash on the side. Hey, ChatGPT, do this. They are hooking me up. Basically, I was saying social media has been bad for the feel of the internet. Now there are just a few big players that controls most internet traffic. Yeah, it's not what it was back in the early 2000s and the 90s, that's for sure. It's much more centralized, but that's just the nature of the world. Everything collects, power collects, and then you have a cataclysm and it breaks up and then it starts to rebuild and centralizes again. That's just normal. How do you see the software development industry 5 years ahead? It's pretty much the same. I think it just gets more and more important. The tools will automate things more and more and more. I think that in terms of the type of development that's going to be big, I think web is still always going to be very big. I think more AI and ML integrations are going to become more and more commonplace. Like, it's kind of like in the early days of the web, it was static pages. That was all static pages. And then we got into the next phase was dynamic pages, using Perl CGI, C, flat file based databases. And then it rose again, it grew again, and then it evolved into using relational databases quite a bit, the original database-driven websites. So things continue to progress. So I think we're going to see more, we're going to see web apps with lots of AI integrations, kind of like using AI as microservices AI supportive apps, but you're still going to need that web envelope, if you will. You're still going to need to know how to write code for the web, build websites, web apps, and AI will come in that shell. That's how I see it. The early days I refer to the wild, wild web was around 95 to 2005, pre-Facebook, pre-Twitter. I would agree. No worries, Jordan. What skills do you think are most valuable long-term for software engineers? Soft skills, interpersonal skills, reflective skills, being an autodidact, be a self-learner, communication skills. 100%. 100%. If you're a good UI UX expert, that's super valuable. Do you prefer to be employed or self-employed as a dev? Well, I'm biased. Last time I had a job, I was working for somebody. I was working as a bouncer in a nightclub. So that's many eons ago, way before many of you were born. So I'm biased. Whether you work for yourself or whether you work for a company or you're self-employed, it's largely a personality thing because it's a different lifestyle and there's different stresses in each environment. I've always liked being self-employed because I like choice. So, but that's just me. You have to figure out what's good for you. Hey, Steph, going through your bootcamp fundamentals and already have people interested in getting a website made for them. Very cool, man. Good stuff, Erwin. Cool. There's lots of opportunity in the web. That's why I teach the web. I thought the opportunity was mobile development with iOS, I would teach that. But a big part of my mentoring program is to not only teach you how to code, but how to be a productive coder and how to make money with code, whether you freelance, get a job, or whatnot. The web and what I teach gives you the most opportunities. As I just said earlier, they were asking me, what do you think, what was this? What skills do you think are most valuable long-term for software engineers? Interpersonal skills, communication skills. That's why I also teach that in my mentoring program. UncleSteph.com. Shameless self-promotion there. All right, man. Good night, man. Hussam. How are we? Oh, we're an hour in. All right, boys and girls. Thanks for joining the show. I'm losing my voice a little bit, so I think I answered a lot of questions. And yeah, please give the show a thumbs up if you liked it. If you have any other questions, I invite you to put it below the video, or you could also join my my Discord here. We have thousands of people on it, so yeah, check out the Discord channel here. Let's see how many people have joined already. Let's see. Let's get this out of the way. Yeah, well, we've had a bunch of people join. Yeah, today. So that's it. That's cool. Since the new year. So yeah, good stuff. So I invite you to join and check out the community there. Good group of people. And good place to ask questions, get answers. All right, guys. Good night. I'll leave you with my ASMR video. And we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.